Consider how the LARK Max 2 ships with its own wireless monitoring system, yet still costs $70 less than the competition, while the LARK A1 is priced so affordably, the SD card I'm recording this video on costs more. I'm typically suspicious of products which are unexpectedly inexpensive because it's quite rare to hit that golden triangle of a product being inexpensive, feature-rich, but also good quality. Rare, though not impossible. It'll all come together as we work our way up these new mics from Hollyland, and we'll start with the mic we've been listening to since this video opened, which is the incredibly affordable LARK A1. It's actually less likely that you're going to be using this inside a studio setting because the two receivers offered with the LARK A1 output audio via either a Lightning connector or a USB Type-C connector. So this was really made for mobile phones rather than cameras. But something really nice Hollyland's done with the A1 is price it in a way that you only pay for exactly what you need. The most complete, most expensive kit for the LARK A1 currently maxes out at $69.90. That's two transmitters and both receivers, Lightning and Type-C, which go in an included charging case. Alternatively, you can lose the Lightning receiver, which drops the price down to $49.90, but the pricing gets almost unbeatable if you decide you do not need the charging case. They'll give you a charging dock instead to charge the transmitters, but this kit with a Type-C receiver is offered for just $34.90, and you still get to keep the furry windshield and pouch accessories. What's mind-blowing is Hollyland hasn't exactly cut corners to arrive at this price point. It fulfills its most important purpose of sounding good, but continues to deliver beyond that. It's got real-time noise reduction, reverb effects, and rather nice hardware. The noise reduction feature, for example, is more than just a simple on or off. The strength of it is adjustable in 3 increments. Just to quickly show you how effective that is, I'm going to bypass the noise reduction I typically apply in post, which I do for most of my pre-recorded videos, because there's a really loud air conditioner right behind me, which you should be able to hear quite clearly now that I've bypassed all noise reduction. So now, I'm going to press the button on my transmitter once, and that toggles noise reduction on, and I've preset it to medium, so you're listening to the real-time noise reduction that's built into the Hollyland LARK A1. Many of us are used to applying noise reduction in post, but this being processed in real time is a ginormous deal for content with an extremely short turnaround. Think covering an event and having to publish coverage of it right away. Live streaming, of course, would benefit greatly from this, plus the fact that the noise reduction strength is adjustable. It's a really nice degree of control to have over the balance of your dialogue versus ambience. Just in case you're wondering what the built-in reverb effects sound like, you get 3 room sizes to choose from, and you're currently listening to the small room size. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up to medium room size. Bit more intense on the reverb now, and you might think for any of us doing a talking hit like this, baking in a reverb effect might not make a lot of sense, but let's take this up to the large room size, and this is about as much reverb as you can get on the LARK A1. If you notice, this is stereo reverb. And again, this gets processed in real time, so I would imagine for someone who's live streaming music, for example, this could very well be a desired effect. It's quite impressive how they've managed to make this work within a package so tiny. The A1's designed without a spring clip, so you wear it using only what I like to call the magnet sandwich. With that bit of magnet, the entire transmitter still weighs only 8 grams, which is not enough weight to sag your shirt as you're wearing it. That button on the face of it can also do more than just toggle noise reduction. 2 clicks toggles mute for the mic, and 3 clicks can remotely trigger recording on your phone. It's also kind of useful as a remote shutter release in photo mode. Both the Lightning and Type-C receivers have a Type-C pass-through, so you could still charge your phone with the receiver attached. The USB-C connector on the receiver is also quite long, so even if you're using a thick phone case, there's a better chance this is going to clear it. Opening the LARK Sound app with a receiver in will also pull up all the customizations available, including mono or stereo outputs, EQ presets, and for disabling the indicator LED on the mics. Speaking for both features and results, I think it's going to be very difficult to beat this for as low as $35. But the interesting contrast is the way this was released alongside Hollyland's best wireless mic yet. The LARK Max 2 definitely costs more than the A1, but for what they're offering, Hollyland could have sold this for a much higher price. This is the closest a single product has ever gotten to being my ultimate one-kit solution for all my wireless lavalier needs. And this isn't even close to being the most expensive wireless mic I own. I can boil everything I appreciate about this mic into three main reasons I think the Max 2 is worth more than it costs. There is almost always a way to conveniently make use of it. It ships with a fully wireless monitoring solution out of the box, and it delivers quality both in terms of output and the hardware itself. What I mean by there always being a way to use it is you get both phone and camera receivers in the kit. There's also a Sony multi-interface shoe adapter sold separately because not everyone's using a Sony camera, but those who do can use that to hook the receiver up to your alpha camera via a digital connection. That means without needing the 3.5mm cable. Even if you want to use the full-size camera receiver with your phone, you can still do that by connecting them via USB-C. The reason you might want to do that is you can change settings while recording using the touchscreen on the receiver. It's possible to change settings on the mobile receiver as well, but you have to fire up the LARK Sound app to do that. You can also connect the receiver to a computer and end up with a wireless USB mic. And this is a full-chain 32-bit float system, meaning even though there is a wireless leg to it, you still retain the full flexibility of 32-bit float at the receiving end. Even if you remove receivers entirely from the equation, both the transmitters are capable of recording internally in 32-bit float. If you're using this internal recording for dual system audio, it's also possible to set up the receiver to output timecode, which is synced to the internal recording on the transmitters, which you can later use to automatically line them up in post. In other words, there's so many ways to connect the LARK Max 2, I always get to use it. But if all else fails, you can always use it independently as a recorder. You also have the ability to monitor what your mics are picking up in real time with an out-of-the-box solution. These open wireless earbuds connect automatically to the receiver the moment they leave the charge case, and you just put them on and start monitoring. Now, if you're a bit of a skeptic like I am, you would feel that this is a bit of a gimmick, because if I'm monitoring at the receiver level, something could still happen to that audio signal as it's going into my camera, and that's ultimately what gets recorded. But here's the part that got me completely sold. You can patch the headphone output from your camera into the receiver and send that signal to your earbuds. So now you're listening to what your camera's recording, and you'll be able to hear through the open wireless earbuds the audio from any playback you're performing on your camera. This continues to get better when I realized that the monitoring earbuds also work with the small mobile phone receiver. So even when I'm filming on my phone, I can still monitor. There's also a toggle in the LARK Sound app which lets me choose audio playback to be played either through the phone speakers or disable them so all audio gets sent to the earbuds. There's even a way to switch the earbuds over to conventional Bluetooth mode, so you can just pair them and use it with any device as if it's just another pair of Bluetooth headphones. But let's go back to talking about the microphones for a moment. These built-in capsules within the transmitter have been sounding truly lovely, and you've been listening to these for quite a few good minutes now. I am wearing it in a slightly more discreet setup with the main transmitter body tucked behind my shirt, but just to prove to you that this is indeed a LARK Max 2, I'm going to unclip it, and this is what you've been listening to this whole time. The maximum sound pressure level of this is rated at 128 decibels, which is good enough to never have to worry about someone talking loudly while being close to the mic, or even straight up yelling into it. It's also enough dynamic range to record moderately loud sound effects. The wired lavalier microphones supplied with the kit do sound rather good as well. In fact, you're listening to that right now. It's hard to pinpoint if they do sound better than the transmitter's built-in mics, and I'm just going to cut back and forth between the lavalier and the built-in mic so you have a bit of a comparison, because I do feel it's more of a difference in sound signature. But with this, it is possible to do a body pack transmitter setup with the LARK Max 2, though considering the lack of an analog input jack on the transmitter, you might be wondering how one will hook up a lavalier to this, and the answer is in these little adapters included in the kit. These pop onto the base of the transmitters, which disables the internal mic switching the signal source to the 3.5mm jack on the adapter. At first, I was resenting the extra steps required to make this happen, but then it made a lot of sense that this is a significant chunk of hardware that I don't have to clip onto my clothes when I'm not using this as a body pack. The 3.5mm jack isn't a locking jack, though in the user manual, it is detailed that the intention is to run the lavalier cable behind the clip, clamping it in place so it serves as a buffer against snags. When using the built-in mic, it's perfectly fine to wear this with the clip facing outward so it's more discreet. In fact, that's the way it was illustrated in the user manual. The long shape of the transmitter also makes it quite easy to slot between two buttons on a shirt. The clip design clicks open or closed instead of being spring-loaded, but if there isn't a good spot on the wardrobe to use the clip on, the magnet sandwich accessories are included. In fact, the kit actually ships with an incredibly complete set of accessories. Most wireless mics which come in a charging case don't actually have any extra room in the case to fit any accessories, which makes it quite annoying when you leave accessories behind and just bring this. So something simple, yet I appreciate so much about this kit is the carrying pouch they've included, which not only fits all the accessories, but also has slots tailored to fit the charging case along with the monitoring earbuds. Then you still have a bit of room left over. But the big deal about this for me is how this pouch is one complete kit, which I can just grab and go with the confidence that I've got everything I need inside this. That's one of a few very nice touches Hollyland did with the Max 2, which they didn't really have to. Another one of these really nice touches is finishing everything in this lovely soft touch matte material, for example. It does feel really high quality, but more importantly, it's just about the most fingerprint resistant finish I've come across ever. I've handled this with the grimiest of hands and it still looks good as new. The receiver's display, being an OLED panel, is another one. Definitely costed them more to manufacture, but it's so satisfying for the user every time you see it. It feels very premium, and every time you tap on one of the inputs, it calls up a shortcut menu with 3 functions. These functions can be customized to what you use most. So instead of learning the product's interface, this is one little detail where you adapt the product to your way of working. I haven't really talked much about range on these wireless microphones because more often than not, we end up with more range than we need. For presenting on camera, if you're out of range of the wireless microphones, then you're probably not very visible on camera either. I would like to take this opportunity though, while we're out here, to showcase how the noise reduction sounds in an outdoor environment. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, because all this while you've been listening to my voice with noise reduction on. So this is what the great outdoors sound like without noise reduction. Since we're already out of the studio, here's a similar test with the Hollyland LARK A1. Noise reduction is currently on and set to medium, so one click. Noise reduction should be off right now, and this is what the great outdoors sound like with no noise reduction. Shout out a few birds. I don't actually think it's a particularly noisy day out today. For everything the LARK Max 2 is, $279 really isn't a high asking price, and this is for the ultimate combo, which includes the wireless earbuds. There's also an option without the earbuds for $249, which puts this about $100 less than the competition, where they don't ship with earbuds anyway. I would certainly place both the LARK Max 2 and the LARK A1 from Hollyland in that rare category of products which are inexpensive yet really good at the same time. These two hit 2 different price points with different capabilities, but both are incredible value. Links below for anyone interested, and I'll be seeing you around.